Hey up, it's History Boy, and once again been sort of, ruminating for some inspiration. And, it's fitting that I say that because, yes, this is another Ruminations video. Now, those of you who may not know, I did one of my fun facts videos. I did a one about Otto, Duke of Aquitaine, who gets kind of sidelined by Charles Martel, or Charles Martel if you prefer, the Frankish warrior who drove the Moors uh, out of France. And Otto, yeah, Duke Otto was the one who was the leader, the upper class leader, whatever, who was the first to be defeated by the Moors. He wasn't killed. He just lost. I mean, his men were obviously killed and stuff, because that's what happens in battle, in wars. So Charles Martel was the one who, basically quashed the Moorish invasion over the through the rest of France, or the Frankish tribes, kingdoms, whichever you prefer. I suppose they're all kind of the same thing, because for example, like in mythology, they refer to in Norse mythology, they refer to Odin as all those things. They refer to him as a king. They refer to him as a chief. They refer to you know the kingdom of Asgard, but also the Aesir tribe from Asgard, that kind of thing. But back on point. So this little ruminations video thing is a kind of I guess yeah, it is very much an alternate history thing. Sorry if I sound like I'm umming and ahhing and sort of repeating myself. There is again. Had a sort of a busy, very active kind of couple of days and went for a nap. Did a few puzzles and stuff to, you know, get the old wheels turning. So yeah, we all know. I mean, us history buffs out there know that the Moors, they settled, conquered, it's most of Spain, most of southern Italy, parts of Portugal, established all the Arabic influence and stuff. I mean, it's still very prevalent in like leftover dialect and regional kind of thingamajigs of Spain. For example, Andalusia is derived from its older name, Al Andalus. I don't know what it means, but it's of something in Arabic, and yeah, and in Andalusia, they have I think, I mean, those of you who are that are Spanish out there, feel free to cut in and comment and or whatever and all that kind of stuff. Um, where instead of just all the time saying ole, it's olai, and I was wondering why. For example, the frame of reference is because in the to paraphrase Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos, um, you don't have to watch TV to figure out the world, but it can teach you, you know, it can teach you parts of the world, or in this case, history, which, it's very fitting, I suppose. And yeah, Javier Bardem's character, Armando Salazar, he says that kind of phrase. He says "Ole" as opposed to "Ole." He says "Ole" once, but mostly "Ole," and he's supposed to be. It's supposed to imply that he's supposed to be from Andalusia. But back to the Moorish the Moorish question, the Moorish hypothesis, if you will. Um, yeah, so I was there trying to kind of think to myself, and this is comments are always open. I deftly encourage comments. And so this ruminations thing with the alternate history thing is, what if, and this isn't like a permanent thing. What if, like, for hundreds of years, the Moors managed to, post defeating the Frankish the Frankish leaders, what would what would have happened? Would France have been? I personally think that a myriad of things could have happened, either alternatively instead of the other, or all of them over many years. So, say that one uh, Duke Otto forms an alliance peace treaty thing with the Moorish leader, who I can't remember the name of right now. Yeah, so that he doesn't fall back, try to bide his time, and then turns to to Charlie Martin, Charles Martel, for help. Charles the Hammer. So he doesn't turn to him. Would they? Yeah, would Charles Martel come into it still? Would he try to deal with them both and fail, or would he just not have, come along, or would Martel have been, like, assassinated or something for being like a rabble rouser or whatever? I mean, I need to look more into my Frankish history. The ancestors of Charlemagne, who is also the ancestor of every Caucasian person born since the year AD 800 and something. Yeah, I found that out on QI. Yeah, apparently every white person. I prefer Caucasian. It sounds more terminology like, like how you kind of vaguely. It sounds vaguely biologist and nature documentary like. I'm not doing it for like pretentious. White is offensive. No, it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, every Caucasian person living today is at least distantly maternally related, many times cousin related, cousin removed times from Charlemagne and his kids. So maybe that's a weird thing as well. Maybe us those of us also. This is a weird alternative thing too. Maybe us that are all us white people today would have either wouldn't be around today. Those of us who've got even a bit of white ancestry, um, wouldn't be alive today, or we'd have different ancestors. Maybe we'd have more Arab ancestors. Um, you know, sort of like a leftover from medieval Spain and Italy. Yeah. Yeah, it might be true. I mean, I mean, I joke about it, but it might have turned out that way. If that makes any sense, it does to me anyway. Um, but yeah, the first point about Martel being whacked or failing to deal with Otto and the Arab leader, and then scenario two maybe would be, um, you have divided states. Yeah, states or early states. I don't know if there was such things as states in general. Um, in the year 770 or whenever it was. Um, so yeah, there'd be like early statehoods. One that's Muslim. Yeah, Muslim France. Probably in the south, and then I reckon that the Frankish, some of the Frankish um, rulers would take their wares, they're up to kind of the north. So yeah, I reckon there'd be kind of not squabbling, but kind of attempts at like peace treaties, kind of like what the Northumbrians and the it's Northumbria. There was King Aela, and then there was Ethelstan. Um, Aela. If you watch Vikings, Aela played by Ivan Kay, who was actually more of a comedic actor. Um, to start with, he was one of the main farmers in Green Grass, the Only Fools and Horses spin-off. Um, you know, British comedy aficionados will know. Boise. It's Boise. It's Boise from Boise and Marlene from Only Fools and Horses. That they get basically, not to spoil it and to kind of cut it short, they get in trouble with two Cray twin types, and they bugger off to the country out of Peckham, somewhere in, I suppose, either Gloucestershire or Cornwall. But yeah, that's besides the point. As Dashi XP, as Raiden would say, God, I'm referencing a lot of people, aren't I? So yeah, the Franks. I reckon, yeah, it's comparable to the Ayla and Athelstan thing, where they'd have the separate kind of politics and houses of where they do politics things, but like wouldn't have like a separate things in, um, you know, Northumbria and then in Wessex. But in this case, it would be comparable. The comparative thing would be one Frankish uh, up and coming Earl, Prince, King, whatever chief would be. He'd have his own thing. Um, in let's say what's now Livorno, like in the northern Italy, kind of Switzerland, maybe Alsace, kind of like spanning through the Alsace region, and then one would be, I suppose, in sort of western France, closer to, and dealing more with relations to do with Muslim the Muslim side of France in the south, because the Moors, their tactic was they would go through the south of the Mediterranean, and I tend to think the Moors also, they went through southern Portugal at least, and then or western southwest Portugal, then southern Italy, then southern Spain. Yeah, yeah, because I think from where they were, you know, geography wise, map wise, you go, down from Algeria, um, Morocco kind of area into the Mediterranean, and then you go down that south. Um, and I think they tried to push north, but I think they probably got battered too by some northern Spaniards. Or they just didn't bother. But I think they just, because they conquered the south. I think they just got like a bit complacent and a bit cocksure of themselves after hundreds of years, or 100 years. Um, or maybe did they? I can't remember if they invaded Spain. France first. Anyway, it gets very complicated. But yeah, I think basically what it was is they started from the south of the Mediterranean in general, um, or they saw that the south was the most. There was more to gain from going into the south. You get there and there's the big cities and the trading ports and what have you, and things to land to set, right on the doorstep to set up and deal with, trade with merchants and politicians and all, and religious types and all the rest of it. So yeah, yeah, there'd be Muslim in my yeah, in conclusion, in my opinion, say that you know, Duke Otto and leader of the Maw of that battle of the Moors of that time did either in a like a truce thing, or Otto was forced to move to the other side of the well, I say country. It wasn't really a country. It wasn't united or whatever, was it? Maybe not. But yeah, um, yeah, there'd be like Muslim France in the south or west, and then there'd be maybe Duke Otto doing his own, well, trying to keep the peace on the border, maybe, or negotiating with the Moors, having political bloody bloody blahs with them, and then maybe Charles Martel, provided that he didn't get whacked, or some relative of say that he got whacked, or just erased, whatever, didn't become a massive factor in the end because he didn't win. He didn't batter the Mars a second time around in Duke Otto's stead. Um, I would say that yeah, that there'd be the Frankish chiefs um one in kind of Switzerland. What? Yeah, not bad. Sorry, that was my old man. Yeah, that's the trouble with having to cohabit and not have your own place. Um, and I'm a bit rubbish when it comes to editing, cutting stuff out. So yeah, back to yeah. The conclusion would be that basically there'd be Moorish France or whatever, partly Moorish France, uh, or Western joint Western France, and then the other northern chiefs up there in in the north near Switzerland and Alsace and stuff like that. So yeah, and then 100, say that yeah, say the rest of history follows course. There'd be um, Rollo, ancestor of William the Conqueror from Norway, or was he from Denmark? Either way, he was a Norseman, Viking, whatever. Hence, Normandy. Maybe Normandy would still be a thing, for example, but Normandy, um, it would probably, I reckon Normandy, um, over the centuries would have its kind of weird spats with, with, um, with either the other, with the surrounding, with the surrounding chiefs from further north, and then maybe some run-ins with Otto's commission, as it were, and but I reckon, yeah, I was going to say the Moors might interfere with them, but I reckon the Moors probably wouldn't. They'd probably, you know, say that in this scenario, the Normans stick to their kind of leftover Viking type of ways. So they were tradesmen too, and so on and so forth, and slavers, unfortunately, but that's how it was in parts of the world. Um, and over the years, slave has kind of changed, but that's controversial too. But yeah, in that sense, I reckon Normans would have allied a lot with um, the southern France through the Moorish influence being kind of there or left over at the time. Maybe 300 years, 400 years later or something like that. And yeah, this was very long, wasn't it? Um, so yeah, let me know what you think. I'm sorry for umming and ahhing a sound like that. The developmentally disabled cop in a Family Guy episode. I apologise for that. I need to have a drink, maybe something to eat. Mostly a drink, because I haven't drunk anything for, I went for a nap, had some bacon and eggs, went to sleep for, dozed on and off. Well, I just rested. I think I slept a little bit for, I probably haven't drunk anything for 5 hours. And just lying there dehydrates you. So anyway, yeah, that was a new Ruminations episode, and yeah, peace.